لبيك يا زينب لبيك يا زينب لبيك يا زينب لبيك يا زينب.
The sun rose on the 11th day of Muharram. It was the day after Ashura. We can only imagine what a terrible and lonely night it must have been for the Ahlul Bayt. Umar ibn Sa'ad remained in Karbala and had sent the heads of the Shuhada to Ibn Ziyad in Kufa. He had stayed back so he could bury all his dead soldiers, but he left Imam Hussein alayhi salam's body and those of his companions without burying them. The women, children, and Imam Sajjad alayhi salam were chained and made prisoners. Imagine their state when they saw the enemy soldiers being buried, but were not allowed to bury their own beloved and brave Shuhada. At noon, Umar ibn Sa'ad's army began to head towards Kufa, taking with them Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and all the women and children. He made the women of the Imam's family ride on the back of camels that had no covers or saddles. This must have been very uncomfortable and painful for them. The outer coverings of the holy ladies of the Ahlul Bayt had been stolen by the enemies, and their faces were exposed even though they were from the family of the best of prophets. This was the caravan of the holy captives. The ladies pleaded to be taken to the place where the Shuhada lay. When they saw the state of the Shuhada, covered in blood, and how they had been left on the scorching desert sand, they threw themselves off their horses onto the bodies and slapped their faces and wept in sorrow. Lady Zainab started complaining to her grandfather, the Holy Prophet.
"O Muhammad,"
she said in an extremely sorrowful voice,
"may the salutations of the angels be on you. This is Hussein abandoned in the desert. He is left all alone, covered in blood, and his body parts have been cut off. Your daughters have been made captives and your children have been killed."
The situation was so serious and full of grief that Lady Zainab said it was as if her grandfather, the Holy Prophet himself, had just left the world. Hearing her lamentations made both the captives and the enemies weep. She then stretched her hands towards the sky and said,
"O Allah, accept this sacrifice from us."
The daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salam hugged his body and cried until she fell unconscious. Nobody could part her from her father's body until a group of the vicious enemy soldiers came and forcibly removed her. How strong was Lady Zainab's faith in Allah! She had watched her most beloved brother killed in the most horrible way, yet she stood by his body, a sight that must have been unbearable for her to see, and pointed out openly to the enemies that this was the son of Rasulullah, and the women that they had made captives, taking them like slaves, were the family of Rasulullah. This was the same prophet that Umar ibn Sa'ad and his soldiers said they followed. Lady Zainab had now taken over the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Her goal was to make the people around her realize the truth of Yazid. This was not a fight for power, but a fight to open the eyes of people and bring them back to the true Islam. It was the women, children, and Imam Sajjad alayhi salam who would now be the shining heroes. They would be the ones to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam through their tears and their powerful speeches. The caravan then proceeded towards Kufa. It is not known what happened along the way, only that some historians say they arrived later that night. Umar ibn Sa'ad made the caravan stay outside the city before entering the next morning, the 12th of Muharram, so that they could make a grand entrance. Join us tomorrow as we continue the journey with the caravan of the holy captives as they enter Kufa.
سجاد عمي يا بعد عيني خلي تساعد على اللوح بالولة وتواسي زينب تقل السجاد عمي يا بعد عيني خلني تساعد على اللوح بالولة وتواسي أنا أبكي على حالك وانت ابكي على أحبابك يا عمه، بعد هيهات ما يلفون غيابك. نوح بهالمصيبة وياي وابكي وياك المصابة، ما ذيك الحزن والهم وهم العالي ما ذيني.